Hello everybody, it's me, Taxman again, and welcome to my Wine Tasting Tuesdays. Or rather, technically it's Wednesday now, since it just turned after midnight about half an hour ago. Well, tonight I have a follow-up to one of the wines I tasted earlier. We have Chateau de Calac Vintage 2009. Now, I tasted an older vintage of this about a month and a half ago, the 2005, and, well, this arrived about a week after that, but since I was so close to my trip, I put it aside until my return. Now, for my first wine tasting since getting back home, decided to go with one that I've done so we can compare. Now, the 2009 vintage was a great year for Bordeaux. It was considered to be the vintage of the century until the 2010s rolled about. But one thing about the 2009s consistently has been that they're very fruit-forward, they're very vibrant. Even when they're young, they're quite approachable. So I opened up my bottle 2 hours before I left work, so it gave it some time to breathe, and that means it's been open for about 3.5 hours now. So it's come into itself quite well. Now, I must admit, though, I am about halfway through, so I do have the some impressions in my brain, but I'll be working off what I smell immediately. Immediately, right off the palate, you get loads of fresh and vibrant dark red fruit. There's currants and cherries. Has a bit of a wildness to it. There is a bit of a very small bit of olive to it as well, though it's very well integrated into the fruit flavors. There is, like a lot of these young red French wines, a leatheriness to it as well, which makes for a very nice backbone to the fruit. And since this is a Graves wine, as you can see here, Graves, which is one of my favorite appellations within the one of my favorite communes within the Bordeaux area. The Pessac-Léognan ones are the best. You do get a lot of pencil lead and graphite on the nose. But it's quite lovely. Oh, that's definitely a full-bodied, nice full body, very expressive across the palate. It's got a very expressive across the palate. It's got a nice jamminess to it, but it's not jammy like a California wine. It's still very much restrained and very elegant, even with its decadence. It's got a bit of a tannic grip to it, although I'd say the acidity here is stronger. So it's full-bodied, but it does have a bit of a slightly thin and acidic mid-palate and finish to it, which is perfectly acceptable and fine for this style of wine. In fact, it's expected for a Bordeaux and for a Grave wine in particular. It leaves the mouth watering with the lingering finish and craving for either a good piece of cheese or, even better, some red meat. Nice ribeye or some lamb, perhaps. So, this wine does get my thumbs up and my seal of approval and is highly recommended. So, if you see it, give it a try, and it's not that expensive either. At the shop where I work and where I bought, it was $18.98 for a bottle, which is it's all right for an everyday, well, or at least for a middle of the week hump day. I'm drinking wine, and it's good to get back into the flow of things now that I'm back here in Indiana. Well then, I hope that you found that to be informative, and again, I do apologize if I come across as a bit indecisive with my choice of words, or fumbling somewhat with how to describe it. As I said before, I'm a bit out of practice due to lack of other experts in the subject to soundboard off of. But I am working pretty hard to get back into shape. It's just like exercise. If you don't practice it every day, or if you don't practice it regularly, you can fall out of shape, even though your muscle memory may still be there, or like math too, for that matter. But this program that I'm doing here, my tasting, is all part of my my plans to get back on track, because you'll see one of these days Tax will be a world famous sommelier, a wine taster, or article writer, or working in Michelin star restaurants to help set up their lists, or I'll travel the world and I'll go taste all sorts of things and write up about it, or I'll be working at a brewery or a winery, or maybe even own my own little boutique wine shop that people will travel from states away, hundreds of miles, to come and see me and see my selection of wine, because I've just, my taste and my reputation will be that legendary. You'll just wait and see. All this dedication will pay off. It will pay off one of these days. So that about does it for now. Oh, and on the last video, you might have noticed something. You might have noticed that my glasses were broken. That was a bit of a that was a result of an accident or a mishap of sort when I stopped by in Denver on the return drive from California home. But I'm happy to report now that thanks to an optometrist, I was able to get a bit of a jury rig on my glasses. Now the frame on this side is not the same as the one on this side, but it's low profile, sort of fits the theme, and it means that I don't have to go out and spend a couple $100s and spend a bunch of money to get a new pair of frameless glasses. Alright then, well, that's it for now, and expect to hear back from me soon. As I said, one of the next videos, I'm going to be showing off my collection of loot, by which I mean the bottles of beer and wine and coasters from the breweries I visited in California and Colorado. I'll get to show all that cool stuff off, and I'll give my report of breweries out there on the West Coast, or the Placer County area. So then, until then, good night, everybody.